The first weekend of the WNBA season is in the books. And not only did we get to see the debut of the Golden State Valkyries in the regular season, we also got to see Paige Bueckers in her WNBA debut, along with several other former college stars as well. And we got to see several new look teams in action for the first time. I'm Caroline Fenton. That is Cassandra Negley. And we start with the drama of the weekend because Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese played, and drama always seems to follow those two going back to the 2023 national championship game, LSU and Iowa. But they continued their trend of some on-court kerfuffles, if you will, when the Chicago Sky played at the Indiana Fever on Saturday afternoon. So Caitlin Clark was called for her first ever career flagrant foul when she was trying to prevent Angel Reese from making a layup. So Cass, what did you make of the call, the play, and of course, the subsequent discussion and aftermath that fans and media have gone into since that game on Saturday afternoon?
I thought it was a basketball play through and through. Right before that, Angel Reese had pushed Natasha Howard out of the way to grab the rebound. And that's why play kind of paused for a second, because I think Natasha Howard and Caitlin Clark thought that a foul was going to be called. When it wasn't, Angel grabs for the ball. She has a clear path to the basket. Caitlin doesn't want to give up two easy points. I mean, the game was fairly close at the time, not super close, but I think about 10. Caitlin clearly goes in for the ball to tap it away. Was there extra mustard on it? Maybe. But it was a basketball play, which Caitlin had explained afterward. The reaction, I mean, this is basketball. It's competition. It's heated. Again, was there maybe a little extra on it than there needed to be? I'm sure, but it's fine. The one thing to bring up though is, as well as the flagrants, there were two technicals called. Aaliyah Boston had some levity after the game in the press room. She did not realize she was called for that technical, trying to play peacemaker, getting literally in the way so that Angel could not come closer to a retreating Caitlin Clark, who went straight back to her bench. She doubled down in the hallway. She truly did not know that she was called for the technical. So I think that should be looked at. As for fan reaction, there is clearly a subset of fans on both sides of what is clearly a rivalry, throwing hatred and saying nasty things and going at a lot of different players, not just one. I think it's ridiculous and small and just dumb. No one thinks highly of you for doing that. What I think should happen as we see this rivalry grow, as you mentioned, these two players constantly, there's something happening. There's clearly an intense fan reaction to these players. There was some light booing of the Chicago Sky when they came out onto the court. Caitlin had been asked about rivalries ad nauseum leading into this, and she shared this story where her grandfather was the high school coach at Dowling Catholic in Iowa, one of the biggest prep schools there. They have a rival, Valley. When her family would drive by Valley, they would hold their breath. We've all grown up with rivalries in high school and college, and like those are the types of fun things that you do, these little maybe superstitions or pranks that we do in college. That's the kind of energy I want to see, and not all of this other, quite frankly, nonsense.
Rivalries are good for sports, period. And this rivalry, in my opinion, has been great for the WNBA. You had Magic and Larry and McGuire and Sosa, all of these individual, not just team rivalries, but individual rivalries. And that is exactly what we have between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark and Cass. I will say my one request, Chicago Sky, please build a better team so we can continue to see this Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese rivalry unfold on the biggest stages in the WNBA.
That's fair. And I think that's also part of it too. I think the Fever over the last year plus this game are what, 4-1 at this point. I mean, if you're Angel Reese, you're a competitor. You want to win. You are angry that your team is losing, and the Fever have all of this attention on them. They're the Showtime Fever, right? We've talked about that. They brought in these massive stars. Like the way they started the season, they're going to be a serious contender. And for the next 4 games against the Sky, I don't know that the Sky are going to be able to take one.
like you said, just two great competitors. And in basketball news from that matchup, DeWanna Bonner, one part of that new look Showtime fever, like you just mentioned, became the WNBA's third leading scorer with her 7 point contribution in her fever debut. She sits only behind Diana Taurasi and Tina Charles in the standings of most points ever in the league. Cass, what did you make of not just what she did on Saturday, but DeWanna Bonner's decorated career up until this point?
Well, being in the gym when she did it after that free throw, I don't know if it came across on TV, but the microphones were picking up free throw shooters saying certain things. And so she yelled a yes, really special moment. There was kind of a brief pause. Everyone celebrated her because this is a player who's in her 16th year. I mean, she has had a career that dates all the way back to coming into the league in 2009. Steph White said before the game, she has played with some of the greats from Diana Taurasi, Alyssa Thomas in Connecticut. Of course, they're engaged. Alyssa had nice things to say about seeing her break it from afar. And then, of course, Caitlin Clark now. And DeWanna Bonner is just so consistent. She told us after the game that, first of all, it was really special to do it in front of that many fans, given where the WNBA has been and where it's going. And then also, she talked about how Diana gave her the blueprint for a long career.
Yeah, and I feel like we could write a book about the things that Diana Taurasi has not just said with the media, but the ways she's inspired other players that she has played with. There's a laundry list of players that can attribute Diana Taurasi to a part of their longevity or their success in the WNBA. But let's move on to another matchup, but also a fantastic performance of her own. Napheesa Collier, take a bow in the Lynx Wings game this past weekend. Napheesa Collier put up 34 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds. She was 100% from the free throw line and 2 for 3 from 3 point range. Cass, we have talked a lot about Napheesa Collier, and I have a feeling we will talk a lot about her throughout the rest of the season. How did we get to this point? How all of the lead up from the end of last season, how this past season ended for the Minnesota Lynx as the runner up in the WNBA last season after Unrivaled to now? How did Napheesa Collier get to this point?
Well, let's take it back even, not this past offseason, but the one before. When she had an exit meeting with Cheryl Reeve, the head coach of the Lynx, Cheryl told her, for us to compete for championships, you need to be a defensive player of the year and step your game up. Fee did. They make it to the finals. Game 5 falls short. They feel like something was stolen from them. At least that's what Cheryl Reeve said. There's a hunger there. So Fee goes into the Unrivaled season. She plays with Courtney Williams, Lynx point guard. They develop even more of their two-man game, and now they're bringing it to the WNBA. And you really saw that in the first 2 games. The Lynx looked really good even without 2 of their starters. So I think it'll be an incredible season for Fee. She's kind of so far proving us all right, although we're only 2 games in.
Absolutely a team to watch as one of the best and potential championship contenders in the WNBA. But as I said, the Lynx took on the Dallas Wings. So we got to see Paige Bueckers, former UConn star, national champion, and number 1 overall pick in her WNBA regular season debut. She had 10.7 rebounds, 2 assists, a block. She was only 3 for 10 from the field and 0 for 2 from 3 point range. Because it's not a bad day, but it's not the same kind of gaudy stat line that we've probably become accustomed to when she was wearing a UConn uniform. Obviously, there is a growth period. There's going to be some lumps that she's going to have to take in her rookie season. But overall, just with 1 game under her belt, what'd you take away from Paige Bueckers in her debut?
Thought it was fine. I thought, like you said, there's a development period here, right? I thought at times she did okay, kind of being switched on to Fee. Other times she didn't, and she talked after the game about, defensively she's going to have to go up against bigger, stronger players. Every rookie knows that. She's a point guard. She's going to have to learn her teammates where they like the ball. Everyone needs to get on the same page. I think the thing for the Wings that really showed in their first game is they're just not as far along on this developmental path that a team like, the Fever last year were. They only returned 3 players. They have basically everyone new, a first-year head coach, a new general manager, all the things we've talked about. Like, that takes time. It's going to take time for Paige. It's going to take time for the team. They do play Minnesota again soon. And so Chris Coclains, the head coach, had said that's an opportunity to right some of these issues.
And Paige Bueckers in her rookie season, obviously, we'll keep a very close eye on. But it wasn't just Paige Bueckers who made headlines in her rookie debut. The Washington Mystics, whatever they did in that draft class, keep doing it. The Washington Mystics start 2-0. Sonia Citron against the Dream, 19 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 100% from three. And Kiki Iria Finn, the former USC star, 17 points and 14 rebounds against Connecticut. Cass, how are all of these pieces clicking this early in the season?
It worked together, right? I mean, when rookies come in together and they're on the same team, you kind of hear about, they're going through the same things. Maybe their chemistry level comes together quicker. This is a young team. I will say they played two teams that are possibly kind of in that lottery pool. So I'm going to wait until they play other teams to see really what this looks like. But it's definitely an impressive start for the Mystics. And, if we're going to overreact to week one, maybe they slide pretty easily into a playoff spot.
Absolutely. And look, it's maybe a little bit too lofty to expect that every single night from both of these rookies, but at least early, incredibly encouraging for what Washington can do for the rest of the season. Heading into this upcoming week, we have a star-studded matchup on Saturday at 1 o'clock Eastern time. The New York Liberty with Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart head to the Indiana Fever to take on Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. Your early thoughts on this one, Cass?
This is going to be a really good one in terms of truly assessing how far along the Fever are and what everything looks like in reality versus on paper, because this is just a tougher matchup than Chicago. For the Liberty, it's another opportunity to see how their own additions are coming together. Natasha Cloud had an incredible game against the Aces to open. You still have the big three. You have Leonie Fiebisch off the bench, Maureen Johannes, all of these players. I mean, this is going to be the first of what is many kind of star-studded heavyweight games that are going to decide that top tier and the top seeds in the playoffs.
Yeah, heavyweight matchup indeed. We'll have a full reaction to that game throughout the week, and you can find that at yahoosports.com. You can find us here next week.